I haven't really feel like, it was a small sample size. It still is a small sample size. And a lot of the things I worked on in camp, especially summer camp too, felt like I was in a really good place and I had a really good camp. And I've been bringing that into the season, and I've been very pleased with my at-bats. I've been a tough out. I've been grinding in there and trying to just get on base as much as possible and, mix in as many possible ways as I can help the team win. Sometimes it just takes some experience. The guy, obviously missing basically a full season plus. That's just time that he didn't get to use to learn at the big league level. And I think had he been healthy during that time, he'd probably be a household name around the league, like he's starting to be now. So I just think some things like that take time with an arm and a person as special as him. You really have to learn who you want to be. And he could be a guy that throws 100 and throws a lot of fastballs. He could be a guy that maybe he can two-seam it, or he mixes in changeups and curveballs. And I think he's kind of developing who he is and what. And I think the thing that he knows is at the very least he's got two of the best pitches in baseball, which is that elite fastball, and obviously the slider is probably the best in the game right now. I think it just gives him some confidence. I think just figuring out who he is, and he's gone out there and executed, and I think now that he's starting to get more starts under his belt, the more he's learning and coming into his own.
Hey, Austin, with this series against Dodgers, not just this one, but the one in San Diego, has this been a bit chippier than other teams that you guys have faced so far?
It's kind of been all a little bit teams have been chirping quite a bit just because it's silent. I think you're just hearing things that you don't normally hear with 40,000 people in the stands. So it's not necessarily just the Dodgers or anybody. You kind of hear a little bit from everybody, but it's also it's a lot of games in division and a lot of teams that we've been facing all the time. A lot of players and pitchers and hitters that we've been facing for so many years that I think you can kind of just hear some things from the sidelines and whatnot that you normally don't. But otherwise, it's playoff baseball right now. It's mid-August baseball. That's the way that we look at it. It's the way that it is. It's not like we're in the middle of May right now at the beginning of the season. It's hey, if we don't win this game, that's one less win we're going to have, trying to make the playoffs. So every game is a playoff push. So that's obviously going to add, a little bit of, pressure to go out and perform. And sometimes those instances they lead to some chirping here and there. But I think that's basically what it comes down to.
And I know you've always had a mentality of always wanting to start behind the plate and to play every single day. How are you adjusting right now to what's been a bit of a platoon role with Mejia?
We've been winning a lot of ball games, and Frankie's done an outstanding job. We're catching some of the same guys and some different guys, but what he's done behind the plate, especially with Lamet and with Zach, they're having amazing seasons, and I know they trust him back there. And the way we see it from anybody's perspective, no matter what you're doing on this team, it's about winning ball games and getting to the playoffs. And what Frankie and I have been doing behind the plate as a unit has been really good. And I think this recipe has been good so far. Definitely gotten a lot more confidence in it. I think once you get some ugly swings on some really good hitters, that definitely boosts your confidence a little bit. But I just love that he's not afraid to throw it. In the past, he's been hesitant a little bit, obviously just because his fastball and his changeup are so elite. It's tough at times to call your third best pitch, especially when your first two are so dominant. So that's just, that it takes a lot of confidence in Larry Rothschild and myself and in him to be like, hey, like these are the times to throw it. We've talked about it before the day. And when we do, just trust what you've worked on. He works so hard in his sides and his bullpens on how to land the curveball and how to throw it with two strikes as well. Excuse me. And he's just been really working hard at it, and it's cool to see that he's becoming more of a full pitcher, not just a two-pitch guy where guys can just basically pick one and have a 50-50 chance. He's really learning how to pitch and come into his own too.
Austin, what's next for Chris Paddack? He hasn't had that dominant start. He hasn't allowed it to get out of hand, but he hasn't had that dominant start this year.
The big thing for him is getting back to executing his fastball to all four quadrants. He is one of not many who can pick a quadrant and throw the ball to that quadrant. And more so than his stuff, the life on the fastball, the change of the curveball, more than any of that, throwing a fastball where you want to exactly is one of the greatest weapons to have. And I have so much confidence when I'm catching him, just because I know I can, a lot of times you're afraid to call a 2-0, 2-1 fastball. It's like, I don't care if it's 2-0, 3-1. We're calling a fastball because it's going to be executed in the perfect down and away quadrant, up and in, any of these things. If I know it's going to get there and I know it's one of the hitter's holes, we can go fastball, fastball, fastball all day. And he's been just barely missing on usually one edge or another so far. And if you can dominate one half, you're a dominant big league pitcher like he still is right now. But when you dominate both halves and then make that all four quadrants, really, that's when you're going to see those. He's going to go 6, 7, 8, 9 innings, shutty, 10 plus strikeouts. For me, it just comes down to fastball.